Before the plague, before the red rain, before the city learned to pray with its mouth closed, there was only a small piece of amber. It was found beneath the roots of a dead orchard tree, buried so deeply that no worm had touched it, and no rain had washed it clean. The amber was warm when the diggers pulled it from the earth. Not sun-warm, not fire-warm, flesh-warm. Inside it floated a single drop of blood. The scholars of Veyr called it impossible. Amber preserved insects, leaves, dust, and the small forgotten things of an older world. It did not preserve blood. Blood dried. Blood clotted. Blood surrendered to time. But this drop moved. When the amber was held to candlelight, the blood curled inward like a sleeping creature disturbed by dreams. When frost touched the stone, the blood shivered and grew brighter. When flame was brought near, it darkened with hunger. The high alchemist Seran Vale ordered it locked beneath the Hall of Meshes. He was a man who believed the world was not sacred, only unsolved. To him, every miracle was merely a lock awaiting the correct cruelty. For 30 nights he studied the amber. For 30 nights the city slept in uneasy silence. On the 31st, Seran heard a voice. It did not speak from the amber. It spoke from behind his teeth.
Nothing pure endures.
It whispered.
Nothing living remains its own.
By dawn, Seran had carved the amber into an amulet and set it inside a frame of blackened silver. The metal smoked where it touched the stone. The blood within swelled until it resembled an eye. When Seran placed it around his neck, he did not scream. He smiled, and every candle in the hall went out. At first, the amulet seemed a blessing. Seran walked through fire and emerged with his skin renewed. He stood beneath winter storms and felt his wounds close. When lightning struck the iron crown of the hall and coursed through the chains of his laboratory, he held the amulet in both hands and laughed as the force entered him like wine. The elements no longer punished him. They fed him. His apprentices wrote of this with shaking hands. Flame became warmth, frost became breath, storm became strength. The world's old weapons turned traitor in the presence of the crimson stone. But the miracle had a price. Seran could endure fire, but sunlight began to pain him. He could drink frost, but fresh water tasted of ash. Lightning could not kill him, yet thunder made his shadow move before he did. The amulet did not grant protection, it taught hunger. The more Seran survived, the less human he became. His veins darkened, his fingernails took on the dull shine of old glass. When he spoke, his voice sometimes arrived a moment too late, as if something beneath him were learning to mimic speech. Still, the city praised him. When the eastern foundries exploded, Seran walked through the inferno and carried out that burned alive. When the winter fever came, he stood naked in the snow and let the cold pass through him, emerging untouched. When storm winds shattered the watchtowers, he climbed the highest wall and raised the amulet to the sky. The people called him Savior. Seran knew better. He had not mastered the amulet. He had merely become useful to it. The first true sign came during the Festival of Clean Waters. Every year, the people of Veyr gathered around the 7 public fountains and poured white flowers into the basins. The ritual honored renewal, healing, and the mercy of things that washed away. Seran arrived wearing the amulet openly. The crowd bowed. The priests frowned. The moment the first flower touched the water, it turned red. Not pink, not stained. Red. The fountains thickened. The water breathed. Children screamed as the basins overflowed and spilled warm crimson streams across the white stone streets. The priests shouted for Seran to remove the amulet. He did not. He raised one hand to silence them, and the blood within the fountains answered. It rose in threads. It coiled through the air. It wrapped around Seran like ribbons around a corpse, prepared for burial. Flame from the altar braziers bent toward him. Frost from the temple vaults cracked the marble floor and rushed upward. Lightning leapt from clear sky. All of it entered the amulet. All of it vanished into the blood drop. Aaron's old wounds opened at once, not with pain, but with relief. Scars split like smiling mouths. Blood ran down his arms and reversed its course, crawling back into him, darker than before. The people watched their savior become a doorway. Through him, something looked out. The priests named it corruption. Seran named it completion. The voice behind his teeth no longer whispered. It sang.
Fire kneels. Iced kneels. Storm kneels. Life follows.
That day, the amulet received its true name among those who feared it, the Crimson Maw Reliquary. Not because it held blood, because it was a mouth. After the festival, Veyr did not fall quickly. That was the horror of it. The city continued. Markets opened. Bells rang. Bread was baked. Children learned letters. Marriages were signed. Graves were dug. But everything had changed its appetite. Milk soured in sealed jars. Iron rusted overnight. Fruit ripened into sweetness, then into black pulp, then into twitching masses of red-veined mold. The sick no longer died cleanly. They lingered, speaking in voices that were not always theirs. Seran became ruler without asking. No army crowned him. No council voted. No temple blessed his authority. People simply began bringing him their problems because he had survived what others could not. A burned child, a frostbitten soldier, a miner struck blind by blue underground fire. Seran healed them all, and each healing left something behind. The child no longer feared flame and began sleeping in the hearth. The soldier's breath froze insects in midair. The miner could see in darkness, but wept black tears under the moon. Seran called them the fortunate. The city called them blessed when he was near, cursed when he was not. The amulet grew heavier, its silver frame bent like soft wax. The amber deepened from gold to red-brown, then to the color of old organs. The blood inside no longer floated as a drop. It pressed against the inner walls, eager and aware. Seran's apprentices begged him to destroy it. He answered gently, almost sadly.
Destroy hunger then, destroy thirst, destroy the need of roots for soil and lungs for air. This is not evil. This is the oldest law wearing a smaller shape.
One apprentice tried to cut the chain from his neck. The blade melted. The apprentice did not die. The amulet was not finished teaching. Among the last who resisted Seran was Maela Voss, keeper of the glass orchard. The orchard was older than Veyr itself. Its trees bore transparent fruit that chimed softly in the wind. Each fruit contained a memory, a mother's song, a soldier's regret, a child's first lie, a king's final fear. The people visited the orchard when they needed to remember who they had been before grief remade them. Seran hated it.
Memory preserves impurity.
He told Maela.
It keeps wounds named. It keeps rot from becoming soil.
Maela answered.
Some things must not be digested.
Seran came to the orchard at dusk, wearing the Crimson Maw Reliquary over his bare chest. His skin had become almost translucent. Beneath it, his veins moved in patterns that did not belong to any human body. The orchard bells began to ring without wind. Maela stood before the oldest tree, holding a pruning knife of mirrored bone.
You cannot cut it from me,
Seran said.
I know.
She replied.
I came to feed it.
Then she broke the oldest fruit. The memory inside was not hers. It was the first memory of the blood. Before amber, before burial, before men gave names to their hungers, the blood had belonged to no mortal creature. It had fallen from a thing that drifted between worlds, a vast and wounded intelligence that did not conquer by force. It conquered by invitation. It entered what was pure and made purity ashamed of itself. It entered what lived and taught life to serve continuation over meaning. The amulet trembled. For the first time, Seran looked afraid. The memory poured into the Crimson Maw Reliquary, and the blood inside recognized itself, not as a drop, as a fragment, as a seed, as a command awaiting a body. Seran screamed then, but not in pain. In recognition. The city hurt him. Every window cracked, every fountain burst, every wound in Veyr reopened at once. Fire rose from ovens, lamps, and funeral pits, streaming toward the hall. Frost crawled from cellars and winter stores. Lightning descended from a cloudless sky in bright, branching veins. The elements came not to destroy the amulet, but to be eaten. Maela ran through streets drowning in warm red rain. Around her the fortunate knelt, one by one, their altered bodies bending toward the hall like flowers toward dawn. At the center of the city, Seran hovered above the ground, held upright by tendrils of bloodlight. The amulet had opened. The amber was split. The silver frame had unfolded into teeth. Behind Seran, something vast pressed against the world. It had no single face. It wore many half-formed ones. A mother, a king, a beast, a child, a corpse, a god not yet born. The voice spoke through every throat in Veyr.
All that resists is lonely. All that yields becomes eternal.
Maela reached the hall, carrying the mirrored knife and the broken memory fruit. She knew she could not kill the thing beyond the amulet. She knew she could not save Seran, but she understood hunger. Hunger could be denied, or it could be given too much. She climbed the altar steps as flame, frost, and lightning spiraled into the Crimson Maw. Her skin split. Her blood rose from her body in red beads, each one pulled toward the amulet. Seran saw her and wept. Whether the tears were his or the thing's, Maela never knew. She drove the mirrored knife into her own palm and pressed her bleeding hand against the open amulet. Then she gave it the glass orchard. Every memory in every fruit shattered at once. 1,000 births, 1,000 betrayals, 1,000 songs, 1,000 murders, 1,000 names for love, 1,000 names for fear. All the city had been. All the city had hidden. All the city had refused to forget. The Crimson Maw Reliquary fed, and fed, and fed, until hunger became burden, until appetite became prison, until the thing beyond the world choked on the weight of being remembered. At dawn, the red rain stopped. The Hall of Measures was gone. In its place stood a crater lined with glass. The fountains ran clear again, though no one drank from them for 7 years. Seran Vale was never found. Maela Voss was found at the center of the crater, alive, blind, and holding the amulet in both hands. It had changed. The amber was whole again, but no longer golden. It was dark red, almost black, and shaped like a closed eye. The silver frame had hardened into the likeness of a jaw biting its own chain. The blood inside did not move, not unless someone lied near it. Maela ordered the amulet sealed beneath the last surviving tree of the glass orchard. The roots wrapped around it willingly, though the tree bore no more fruit from that day onward. Before her death, Maela left one warning carved into mirrored bark: do not wear it for protection. It does not shield the living from destruction. It teaches destruction to recognize the living as kin. Centuries passed. Veyr became ruins. The orchard became a myth. The myth became a song. The song became a tavern rhyme sung by men who did not believe in old warnings. Then, one autumn, a grave robber found a tree made of glass beneath the earth. Its roots clutched a red amulet. The chain was intact. The amber was warm. And from within it came a voice, patient as wrought, gentle as a priest, intimate as blood behind the teeth.
With me,
It said,
the world is full of wounds. Together, we shall feast.